That's awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you want?
It's quite a special place to work. Leavesden Studios. I think Rowan and I were there in the original Leavesden Studios, which was an experience in itself. If you've ever been to an abandoned warehouse, it looks like that on the outside, and then you enter into a massive room and discover that it's full of magical sets. It was quite an amazing place to be. It still is quite an amazing place to be, but it now looks like a proper film studios there now. But yeah, when we were there, it was a drafty, leaky, cold, dusty, abandoned aircraft factory that Warner Brothers took over and turned into this incredible film studio. So
yeah, exactly. Like, I just remember it being just how big it is, because you had to get a golf buggy to go from your sort of dressing room to the set, which was always maybe my favourite part of the job. But no, it remains the only time I think that I actually worked on a proper sort of studio set. Any other bits of acting I've done have generally been location based.
Yeah.
So I guess there's that brilliant of sort of you walk around this huge room, and sort of when we were doing the shooting on, for example, the corridor scene, you sort of turn around the corner and suddenly you're in the Ministry of Magic, and then you're sort of in, I don't know, Privet Drive or whatever. It's that kind of almost absurd, different pieces of your childhood, literally kind of feet apart. Really blows your mind.
So one other question that was kind of related to working on sets that was asked that came in was, is it like a regular job? And what they kind of, I think, were trying to explain, is it like like you go to work from 9 to 5 and then you go home and maybe you don't see your coworkers again? Or is it like afterwards you hang out with everyone from the set? Like, are you friends with people on and off set?
I'll start with this one. It's never 9 to 5, unfortunately. It's more like 5 a.m. to midnight a lot of the times. Certainly on Fantastic Beasts, we did very long hours, and James will attest to that as well. But it really, it depends what scenes you share with actors, and that kind of ends up dictating who your posse ends up being. But you do end up spending an inordinate amount of time waiting around while sets are changed and the lights are changed and the cameras change. And so over that time, it's not like a normal job, because you develop a bond very quickly. And also what you're doing is so unique to that world, and very few people get the opportunity to work in that kind of an environment. So I think just by virtue of that, you end up becoming very, very close. And I think Chris can talk of this some more, because obviously he worked on all the movies. But even if you don't stay in touch daily or monthly or whatever, you still have a link with the people that you worked with, it's this kind of unshakable bond. They feel like family.
Yeah, totally. It's I think certainly for those of us who are there right from the start, it's quite a it's quite a unique experience, I'd say. It's a bonkers one, really. But in terms of staying in touch with people, I think it's a bit like when you finish school. For those of us who are old enough to have left school already, there's people that you are going to be friends with for life because you have so much in common, or because you clicked, or you've got this unique relationship. And then there's people that you're friends with on Facebook. You kind of, like their posts or wish them a happy birthday when that comes around. And then for no reason at all, nothing untoward or negative, there's just people that you don't have anything in common with that you might never see again. It's like any place realistically that you spend a long time spending time with the same people, like school, like if you've been in a job for a while, there's going to be people that you don't have anything much in common with, and then there's going to be people that you realistically do stay friends with forever, and then there's people like James and Wally who you just can't get rid of for love nor money.
I recommend Bleach.
We have
The other thing I was just going to say in terms of like the 9 to 5-ness, which I think Chris, you probably had as well, was like the tutoring.
Oh, I didn't get tutoring. I was too old. I got to sit around doing absolutely nothing while all the other kids got tutored, which is the better end to be on.
I can imagine. That's the thing is that so if you don't know, for when you're under 16 and you're working in the UK, you have to have, I think, 3 hours of tutoring each day to sort of, subsidise all the hours of school you're missing. So then you've got this really absurd thing that, obviously, I was in, I think, year 7, so it wasn't like I was doing my GCSEs or anything that sort of counted. So I had to walk and do an hour of French or something in the morning, sort of going and looking through this massive glass window, seeing Hogwarts, being like, why am I sat here doing this when I could be at a much more interesting school just at the window?
I was 30, so no school for me.
So, do a couple of you want to tell? We have a question that just came in. How did you end up getting your respective roles? Do 2 of you want to tackle that one?
Sure. I got a call from David Yates' office saying they'd like to see me for Frank Longbottom, and I said thanks very much, but I'm busy. Such an idiot. And they said, oh, okay, and that was sort of the end of it. But they phoned back the following day and said, I don't think you quite grasped it. David wants to see you for this, just you. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was on a different movie, and I spoke to production, and they said, it's fine, you go off and go and do a screen test. But we were shooting up in the north of England, so I had to travel back down to Leavesden to do my screen test, and then back. And once I'd finished that, we were doing night shoots. So I worked through the night, travelled back to London, back to Lisbon, did my screen test with Lisa Weekly, and then had to go directly back up to Grimsby or somewhere to carry on with the thing that I was doing. And yeah, they were, we went in and we sort of played around with it and what David wanted to get across about Neville's love for his parents and obviously the parents' love for the children and what that meant in this very small amount of time. And they seemed to buy it. And then that was me on board then. So yeah, it was a sort of oh, okay. Well, yeah, I turned it down because I'm an idiot. I think we all know that.
That's fantastic. Wally, you want to tackle that one?
Oh, I actually think Chris's story is the most interesting, so he should tell his.
Oh,
sorry.
Thank you, Wally.
It's true though.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, so 20 years ago this month, which is quite frankly terrifying, there's a TV show in the UK called News Wrap, which is a children's news program on the BBC. And finally article this particular day was that Warner Brothers were making a film of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and the casting department were looking for regular children, not children who were necessarily actors already or at stage school or performing arts college or anything like that. They just wanted everyday kids who liked acting and/or Harry Potter to write in a letter, send in a photograph and say, I would like to play Harry Potter because X, Y, Z. I don't know. Now, I'd seen this on the television. I was 16 at the time and I was revising for my end of school exams, my GCSEs in the UK, which are your exams as you finish high school at 16 before you go to college. And I was supposed to be studying for those, and I wasn't. I was watching television. And caught this article. And to cut the story slightly shorter, basically I wrote a letter to Warner Brothers through this address saying, my name's Chris, I'm 16 years old, I'm ginger, and I'm a school prefect at my school. I would like to play Percy Weasley because I, like Percy, am 16 years old, ginger, and a school prefect. And quite honestly, I didn't think there was any other part that I was likely to be able to get because of my age, hair color, and everything like that.
Right.
It's exactly method. I was born, apart from the only child thing, born Percy. And they'd said on the TV, they said, if you don't hear anything back from them in 2 weeks' time, sorry, bad luck. You won't hear anything. Forget it ever happened. Thanks for writing. And I didn't hear anything back in 2 weeks. And this was April. I had a phone call at the end of August that year from a lady at David Hamonde's office saying, can you come to London tomorrow and audition for Harry Potter? We will send you a piece of script by fax. I don't need to explain fax to anybody here, do I? Probably. And it's like email, but paper comes out of a machine. It's magical, quite frankly. So they sent me the scene where Percy takes the first years up to the Gryffindor common room, and I went to a small casting room at David Hamonde's office and pranced up and down the room going, first years, follow me this way, quickly. And about a week and a half later started work on Harry Potter. That was 20 years ago. It's bonkers. It's not how real life happens. Let me just.
It just seems like it was yesterday, right?
Actually, almost yes. Yeah.
Because I literally like I'm blinking and I'm like I feel like I was just I at the time I was a mentor at a college university, and my students kept talking about this Harry Potter book, and so I feel like it was just yesterday that I was having to read Harry Potter because all my students I mentored were coming up to me going, yeah, I feel like Harry Potter. And I had no idea what they were talking about. So it's amazing how time flies. Thanks, Chris. To Chris, we have another question. What scene in the Potter world did you find the hardest to shoot, and how did you get through it?
Okay, so the actual answer is that the hardest scene to shoot was the scene that was cut. So I'll tell you very briefly about that. And that was during the bit where Percy takes the first years to the Gryffindor common room, there was a whole sequence in there that was cut that was where Percy and the first years meet Peeves the Poltergeist. Sadly, we never got to meet Peeves the Poltergeist for the simple reason that the actor who played him, Rick Mail, sadly no longer with us, who was heart-achingly funny and very, very naughty, made us laugh so hard that most of the stuff they shot for that was completely unusable, and then they decided obviously that Peeves was a character that would take too long to get into and make the films a little bit long, so they sadly cut the entire character. But those scenes in particular were really tricky to get through because Peeves was such a naughty person to work with, and just improvising left, right and centre, hurling insults at us. And yeah, I've never laughed so hard in my life as I did the 2 weeks that we shot that bit for. But I think out of the scenes that made it to the film, I think would be again for laughing reasons, the Weasley breakfast scene in Chamber of Secrets, where we're all sat around the table, and Percy has the old the bed hair that isn't dissimilar to what I'm sporting currently. Because Julie Walters and Mark Williams, who play Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, are two brilliant comedians and brilliant improvisers, so we never quite knew what we were going to get. That was when I discovered that if you laugh too hard with a mouthful of food, you can laugh baked beans out of your nose.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
That's a talent, though.
Yeah.
We had an earlier question that someone sent into me wanting Wally and James to tell us more about the Order of Improv.
Aww.
Oh,
Love Order the Improv.
That's our thing. That's our little baby.
That is our thing. Well, James and I, I'll start. Our improv is much smoother than this, by the way. James and I actually first met on Fantastic Beasts. He was working on it while I was working on it, and I remember us having a very brief conversation quite early on about how we might one day run across each other in the convention world. And sure enough, like 3 years later, I started doing conventions, and I end up being represented by the same agent as James. And then I was out in LA last year for pilot season, and I was doing Groundlings, which for those of you who don't know is a very prestigious improv training theater school in Los Angeles, and people like Melissa McCarthy and Lisa Kudrow all trained there. It's a wonderful place. And I put something on my Instagram story about being at Groundlings, and our agent kind of had this brilliant idea that because James is a very established improviser and comedian, that we might be a hoot to get together and do something Harry Potter related, but entirely improvised. James, carry on.
It's what Wally said. But yeah, that's exactly. I started doing stuff. Chris will remember last March we did an event at Comic-Con in Watford.
Yes, we did.
with Nick Moran and Tony Slattery. And Tony Slattery over here during the 80s and 90s was a huge name in improv. He was one of the original cast members of Whose Line Is It Anyway in the UK. And we were all very excited to meet him because I'd never met him before. And we met and we sort of hit it off and started sort of mucking about. And he asked me to go and to go and see his show not too far from here. So I drove up in my little motor car, and I get there and Tony's not on yet, and he says to me, "James, but you are going to come on, aren't you?" And I said, "All right." And I didn't get booed off stage, which is a rarity these days. And then I went on and did his show up in Liverpool, and as Wally said, Kaye was like, "Hang on a second, these two chaps are, dare I say it, amusing." And they know each other. They've already got a relationship, haven't we? And she said, "I think this is a thing that we can do, that we can bring to events and to all around the world. We've done it in the highlight, in Peterborough of all places, and Manchester and Ohio last year. We all went to Ohio, and Chris and Ness very kindly took photographs of us. And Ness was our
bucket lady,
Wrangler.
Yeah, our Wrangler. I was going to say our stooge, but yeah, Wrangler's probably better. Yeah, and it's just sort of something that we love doing and that we love coming back to, because
essentially it's what we do. The format changes. Obviously, it's improvised, but we do things like we improvise an entire Harry Potter story using suggestions from the audience. We also interpret the scripts and play all the characters in them, and I'm laughing because it's
getting flashbacks.
We have a lot of fun doing it, and audiences seem to respond well to it.
It's very, very silly and very, very enjoyable, I have to say.
Yeah, and I think there's it works on a couple of levels, because we do, we have a show that we obviously improvise, that is completely appropriate for all ages, and then of course there's a show that we can do if there might be a little bit more adult, shall we say, for later in the evenings.
Hey,
we all keep. I mean, we might use naughty words or something.
Never.
Might.
All right, Wally won't. I might.
James, someone's asking what it was like filming with Chris Evans.
Well, this was the second Marvel movie that ever sort of happened, and I think it was the second one. And we shot, Captain America was shot over here, and we all got involved. It's a big studio movie, but we didn't know that it was going to become this sort of universe. So we were like, I don't know if Captain America is going to play as that particularly popular character. But Chris had worked so hard on that body of his that, when he first took his shirt off, you're like, damn, it's warm, isn't it? And he worked so hard to sort of get the heart of of the character, and obviously, with the other actors in that particular movie, it all sort of seemed to come together as an origin story. But every time he punched me down, once we'd cut, he always helped me back up again. Just
Aww.
Thoroughly lovely man, and I'm glad I turned down the part of Captain America to play Hitler instead.
That's awesome. What this is going out to all of you guys. If you could do any of the films over again, and you had to take another part, which part would you play?
Oh, Rowan, go on.
Yeah, Rowan.
What, you play me?
Yeah,
What would be the best? I mean, I'd love to play Lupin. I think that'd be, especially in Prisoner of Azkaban, like, great character, really interesting. But I think the answer, which I feel like Chris might be about to say, but I'm going to steal it, is Bellatrix. Because that's a part, isn't it?
Well, you're getting the dark curly locks for it right now.
That's what I'm going to throw it out.
Yeah.
By the time we're all out of quarantine, I'll then be ready to play it.
And the makeup is really on point. He really came.
Hail and Taylor.
Oh, dark Mark.
And by the time I come out of this, I'm going to look like Bernadette Peters with stubble. So we're doing well here.
We're expecting to see photos. We want to see photos of everyone after the quarantine's over. Okay.
I will be playing The Witch and Into the Woods in my own front room by the end of this. I don't know what characters. Back to Harry Potter more specifically. I don't know. I mean, Bellatrix is an insanely great character. Like, as characters go, she is a brilliantly written one. I don't know. I change my mind on this so often. It's a question we get asked quite a lot. So every time I get asked it, I do try and think of another character to try and just, keep it interesting and kind of challenge myself to think how I'd do it. But I think Mad-Eye Moody could be quite a fun character to play.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Because he's a big, larger than life, very in your face kind of guy. I think it'd be quite a lot of fun. And he's bonkers as well. Bonkers characters are always a treat, because you can be somewhat more unpredictable with them, which is good fun.
I have a question that is, if you guys had known that COVID-19 was coming, what would you have done differently to prepare for it? Start thinking.
I'd have bought some loo roll.
No.
As somebody told me last night, James, anything is loo roll if you're brave enough. But
it's
you
true.
know that's not how that saying goes, Chris.
There's always a garden to dispose of it too, right?
Oh, in the apartment. Out the window. All right.
Don't expect company for a while.
I don't know what I'd have done. Touch wood, we've been okay for everything so far. I ran out of white wine, which is the most middle class issue that I've got right now. But other than that, we're okay. Touch wood.
I'm gonna out middle class you. I ran out of kombucha, so.
We've got problems here.
Right.
Send supplies.
Oh, you intercepted my emails?
Stocking up on quinoa prior to the event.
You guys, okay, well, here's... Okay, I'm not going to do that one.
Well, now you have to kind of do it. You have to do it.
All right, well then, Wally, you better get your thinking cap on, because you need to find the derivative of the function 6 times 3 minus 9x plus 4.
Carrie! I know who that is.
Wow, Carrie has ousted herself. You've been blown.
Sorry, can I get the numbers again?
EU.
You're going to find the function of 6 times 3 minus 9x plus 4.
I'm very pretty. That's my answer.
I can see the smoke coming out. I can see things happening. Carrie has her emoji. She's dying on the floor laughing as we're speaking.
The answer is 4. Let's go with that.
4. The answer is 4. All right. So as an actor, having been isolated at home, what's it? I guess they want to know if you guys are going crazy yet from isolation.
I think it's quite easy because we're all used to being out of work.
I mean, speak for yourself, but sure.
I mean, I have a routine. I sort of try and have a routine. So that sort of helps. And there are people that, we have a WhatsApp group which is incredibly supportive. And there are other sort of people in my life that I can turn to when my brain might not be working to its full capacity, shall we say. But the thing that I've been missing is human contact, is physical contact. It brings it to me anyway. It brings it home how much you sort of rely on a handshake or a touch or a hug or something else or whatever it may be. That's the thing that I miss the most. So believe me, when we get out of this, people are going to get hugged.
Almost sounds like a threat.
Oh, it is.
It usually is when it's coming from James. So.
Don't you throw a safe to go outside?
That's awesome. Would you, okay, another fun question. So, would you rather never wait in line again after this whole COVID-19 is over? Would you rather never wait in line again or never get stuck in traffic again?
Never get stuck in line. Oh,
really? Ooh.
I'm going with traffic.
I'm going with traffic.
I don't mind getting stuck in traffic as long as I've got like my Spotify playlist or something. It's frustrating, but I can cope. I hate being in line for things. I hate it.
Are you even English, Christopher?
No, I'm not.
That's why. There it is.
Zealand, it's the same thing. It's an island.
It's an island.
It's a colony.
I've just seen someone comment and say that they love traffic because it's their alone time. I love that.
You'd never be able to go to the parks. Like, you're always in line. That's all. Disney pays for you just to go wait in line for places. Come on now. All right. What are you looking forward to doing the most once isolation has been lifted?
Working again.
We heard hugging too.
Seeing family and friends, honestly. Like, I'm lucky that, me and my other half, Nessie, who there's loads of you in here, but there's a lot of names I recognise anyway. So hello to everybody I know in here. But Nessie, my other half, is downstairs with the dogs at the moment. So in that sense, neither of us are alone, and we've got constant companionship from ourselves and the dogs. But equally, my mum is 40 minutes drive away from here, and Nessie's family is an hour's drive away from here, and we haven't seen them in 3 weeks now, and it's probably going to be another goodness knows how long. It's weird. It's really weird. I mean, thank goodness for modern technology that my mum can Skype me and ask me all sorts of questions about how to use social media at any time of day that she feels necessary, and we can see each other. That's the wonderful thing with God, I'm sounding old now, but if this has happened 20 years ago, it wouldn't be the same. We can see each other when we're talking to each other these days. You don't have to go to the payphone box down the road, which you wouldn't be allowed to do, I'm sure. To ring somebody, you can just message them right here from wherever you are, which does make it a lot easier.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's seeing the family and friends is the sort of first and foremost for most people, but for me it would be going to the Prince Charles Cinema to see the sing along version of Cats with George.
There's a sing-along version?
Well, I mean, whether or not you're supposed to sing along.
It's actually just subtitles. It's not a karaoke track. That's
yeah. I mean, obviously we'll get kicked out within the first half hour, but that's just the sort of normal everyday stuff that you do. You know, seeing your friends and sort of doing those things, even going to a bar or a restaurant or whatever, is. I mean, let's face it. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but it's surprisingly difficult not to have it all taken away so quickly. Is obviously the right thing to do, but also it's surprisingly difficult. Surprisingly difficult.
It's just funny, isn't it, when you go, oh, I'll just pop in. Oh no, I won't.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go to the. No.
We signed up to get milk delivered to our front doorstep since this began, so because it means we don't have to go to the grocery stores anywhere near as often as we should. But we ran out of milk yesterday, and our delivery's on Monday. So, but it's things like that, isn't it? It's like, oh well, I'm not going to go to the stores because we live in quite a built-up area, and there will be a lot of people there. And quite honestly, I'd rather not. But yeah, it's just those little things, isn't it? Like when you run out of milk or the bread's gone off, that you kind of go, well, I'm going to have to wait till I'm not just going to pop to the shops to get a pint of milk. You know, you need to kind of, it's all that extra thinking about things that's yeah, a little bit of a surprise. But yeah, we're lucky we live when we do.
So before COVID-19, the question was, what were you currently working on? But I know if I ask that, what are you currently working on? Well, it's staying at home, your hair, what before this and maybe after this, what projects are you working on?
I was about to work on a really awesome radio play for the BBC. In fact, we were supposed to start recording the day that we got told to never leave our houses again. Damn it. So I think that's going to be back on as soon as they allow me back out again. So that's what I have in the bag. And then a couple other things that are being floated that I can't talk about yet.
Anyone want to answer that question? It's open to everyone.
Rowan?
Yeah, sure.
Well, you're up to really exciting and really cool things, so I want to hear what you're up to.
Oh wow, not this exact.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I guess it comes into the previous question in terms of what I miss as well, in the sense of I'm training as a theatre director. So obviously, all the theatres closed down very, very quickly. So you had this very weird afternoon where I was going to visit some friends in rehearsals. Got into the rehearsals to find out the show had been cancelled, to which point we all went up to the green room and spent the next 3 hours chatting, going through several bottles of wine, as all the theatres gradually closed. So yeah, I'm looking forward to going back to the theatre again. And then in terms of projects, yeah, hopefully doing some either writing or assisting or directing something in the next. I mean, obviously, especially with theatre at the moment, no one has any idea what's happening. So
yeah,
hopefully before Christmas would be very nice.
Wally, I'm getting a message that I'm supposed to be asking you about a certain Ninja Turtle. Is that?
Oh, who's that from?
I don't know if I'm going to reveal my source.
That's oh gosh. Fantastic Beast. I voice. This insurance company has come out with these brand new, massive, high budget commercials in the UK, and they've licensed these amazing superheroes. And they've licensed Bumblebee from Transformers, and they've licensed RoboCop, and they've licensed Donatello from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as their mascots. And I auditioned for RoboCop and Donatello, and ended up getting Donatello, which is a lot easier for me to do than RoboCop. Donatello is essentially my voice. But yeah, so I I got to voice Donatello, which, I mean, honestly, like, what a privilege. And the reaction to the commercial has been incredible. And yeah, it's, I mean,
Can you do a cowabunga for us?
All right, so technically, Donatello never says cowabunga,
That's Mikey.
right? Because it's Mikey.
Yeah,
I did.
Mikey.
Yeah. However, I did have to do a cowabunga. I mean, hold on, let me just get method. Where's my shell? Cowabunga!
That was it. That was awesome. That's my favorite Ninja Turtle too. He's the best out of all of them.
I'm obsessed with him now. I had to do so much research, like, to figure out like his cadence and stuff. And I really like. I'm a big fan. So yeah, dreams come true.
Hey, you guys, we are going to wrap this up here in about 4 minutes. If you guys want to get last minute questions in here before we have to say goodbye to the guys, and Magic from HomeCon is going to transition over to their trivia. So if you guys want to get some last minute questions in, feel free to do that. One question that I did have here was, what was the, and if just one or two people want to answer this one, what was the, maybe not even from the Potter films, what was the hardest part or the hardest scene that you've ever had to do?
Rowan?
I'm trying to think. There's loads of hard
Yeah.
That's like tell a funny joke now. Go.
Yeah. Yeah, every scene's hard if you see my acting. Then I think the one I'm going to go for, which is hard because I think sort of the way the industry's perhaps slightly different now, as I look back and go, would I necessarily play this part again? But I got to play a character in the TV series Casualty, which is sort of one of those ongoing kind of dramas or soaps. And my character had a form of epilepsy, and sort of the whole episode was about whether or not he wants to have this operation to sort of remove the epilepsy, but he also wants to kind of just have his life as well. It's really it's a great part. But I remember I had to, as you know, part of the kind of the climax is I had to have a fit, and obviously I'm very lucky that I don't have epilepsy. But also I was going, if I have to do this, then I have to try and, you know, do it accurately and respectfully, which meant I had to do, lots of research and working with on all those medical programs. They have like a specific person who can sort of make sure you're doing it all accurately and medically, and obviously doing it safe as well. Because then, you know, what you have to do as well for the cameras is repeat it every time about 10 times or whatever. So as both, that was definitely tough, but also very, I think it translates the screen really well. So I was quite proud of that as well.
The toughest thing I've ever had to do wasn't actually an acting job. It was a television appearance that I did on a show that we have in the UK that I think you guys had in the States as well, called in the UK it's called Total Wipeout. I think in the US it's just called Wipeout. Where you fall off or try not to fall off, more to the point, a selection of inflatable obstacles. There was a celebrity version of it in the UK I did about 9 years ago, and it was shot in Buenos Aires in Argentina for health and safety reasons. It wasn't legal to film it in the UK because it's not the safest thing. That was the hardest thing I've ever done, because anybody who knows me will know that I'm scrawny as heck. I'm not a fit and active person in that sense. And I did all right. I came fourth out of like 10 people.
Who won?
Who won? Now, my episode was one. We filmed 2 episodes at once, so there was 10. There was, I think, 10 celebrities. 10 personalities flew out there together, and they filmed 2 episodes of 5 people each. I think, if I remember rightly, mine was won by. Oh my goodness, his name's just gone from my head. He used to be a Blue Peter presenter, Peter Duncan, who was a Blue Peter children's TV presenter from the late 70s, early 80s, I think. and the other episode that they filmed at the same time was won by a Olympic high jumper who was ridiculous. Like the final round is like this enormous obstacle course, which I didn't have to do because I got eliminated in the penultimate one. But most people take sort of 6 or 7 minutes to complete this course, and Dalton, the guy who won the other episode, did it in 54 seconds.
Wow.
Wow.
You can find it on YouTube. That's definitely.
It's almost impossible to find, Ro. Sadly, it pops up occasionally and then it disappears again. But if anybody happens to find the episode of Celebrity Total Wipeout that I did, I would very much like to see it again.
Well, Christopher, today is your lucky day. Play the clip, everybody.
Here we go. I was just man, if only I had that clip.
Damn it.
Last question, you guys. Favorite prop from any movie that you played in? What was your favorite prop to interact with?
Ooh. Oh, that's a tough one.
I mean, it has to be a wand for me. I didn't get granted permission to have a wand until the 7th film, because for the simple fact that Percy never uses a wand until the Deathly Hallows. So, I never needed one, so I didn't get one until Deathly Hallows. So being presented my wand for the first day on set for that
that's like an honor.
It was a huge thing. I mean, it's more than it should be. It's a stick, realistically, on a movie set. The magic doesn't happen on the movie set when we're making it. It happens in the real world, obviously, and it happens afterwards. But my prop wand is my prized prop that we weren't allowed to keep either.
Well, that's interesting because my favourite prop is Wallace Hamonde.
Rhymes with
So
wand.
offensive.
It's because I lean on you, love. That's all.
I'm sorry. In case you missed that. I think I loved when we were filming the Thunderbird scenes at the end of Fantastic Beasts. There was a puppeteer who had like the head of the Thunderbird who would come in and Eddie would interact with the bird to get the sense of how he would do it in the scene. And we all kind of had to work with this puppet, and that to me felt very special. That was like, the magic of the movies. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of when it hits you that you're making something that is so much bigger than anything you could possibly imagine, because it's going to be on the screen. But in this moment, this amazing man makes this puppet come to life, and you're interacting with it. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's Robin and Tom, the couple of the puppeteers from Beasts. Amazing work.
Right? They're incredible. Yeah. They really bring things to life.
Yeah, with Frank the Thunderbird and the Rumpant, and even with Pickett. He's a tiny puppeteer piece, but all with moving parts, and obviously the Nifflers as well. They're all so we have practical versions, and Wallace is amazingly right that it is exactly the magic of the movies. It's really special to see, incredible to watch. So talented, those guys. All of Robin and Tom's team are amazing at what they do. From working on Warhorse to Fantastic Beasts and all points in between. Incredibly talented people.
Strangely, I worked with Tom years and years ago before he became a puppeteer. We did hello Boo. On the map. We did stop it. We did a national tour of Wuthering Heights together. Years and years ago, so it's always funny how things come full circle.
Yeah, it really is.
Sorry, I've turned into Dr. Evil here with this
right
puppy on my lap.
Rohan, did you have anything that you wanted to throw out there?
No, not really. Just almost how crazy all the props were always on Potter. Like I just remember, I didn't get anything specific, but you look around, and the thing that sort of blew my mind when I was 12 was finding out that all the copies of all the kind of the spell books I just rebound things of like the Yellow Pages or Tom Hardy, that sort of thing. And I was kind of going, I don't know, you know, is this does this change how I watch the films now? Whenever I'm watching, going, oh, there's just what is it?
And now that you've said that, there are all these crafters on here watching right now that are going, the Yellow Pages. We can use the Yellow Pages for spell, but like they're all in the vendor hall now. We're going to virtually see all these spell books tonight.
It's all well and good until you want to open them. To be fair, though, the ones like some of the ones that obviously the props that you opened to read had Mina Lima's wonderful graphic design work in them as well. So that was always a treat, opening one of those and actually reading.
Yeah, they're not all 50 Shades of Grey. Not all of them. Some are Twilight.
But also, like,
some were Twilight.
But the great thing about those sets as well is the level of detail, Yellow Pages notwithstanding. Like, you know, in Makusa, any drawer you opened in Makusa had something in it. Something, a prop that was, even though you'd never see it, like the level of detail, everything was thought down to the last second. The people who create those worlds for us are just absolute geniuses. I can't speak highly enough.
It's that thing of, just in case an actor on a whim decides to open a drawer, there better be something in it.
Right, exactly.
You'll never see it. You'll never know. Nobody knows. Nobody really cares. But just in case Jude Law decides that he's going to take a pen out of the desk drawer and write something down, there's going to be a pen or a quill or whatever. It's got to be there.
Yeah, I mean, the devil is really in the detail there. I suppose it's the difference between, you know, these massive movies where you can virtually shoot on anything to stuff that it hasn't even been thought of.
Yeah.
Can I open that drawer? No. All right.
Rankin, okay. You need your hair do it. I love you, but.
Hey, you guys, we're going to go ahead. Magic from HomeCon is wanting to start their trivia. They've promised people. So that was our last question, you guys. Thank you so much to all the guys here this was totally last minute. And thank you guys so much for being out. I'm having so many comments coming up. Thank you guys for taking the time out.
Thank you for having us. And guys,
we loved it.
We have had a great time. And thank you all for coming. Thank you all for coming along and joining us and joining in and, you know, supporting us and each other at this really weird time. So it is appreciated.
Yeah, excellent. Stay in your homes.
Yes. Stay home. The entertainment's right here.
See you this time tomorrow?
This is a weekly event now.
Hourly. We have nowhere else to go. Oh, gosh.
Oh,
hey, you guys, I'm going to let you know, too, just that we're also, I'm with Transfiguring Adoption. We are the featured charity for the con this weekend. So if you guys are inclined to, we have these little stuffed plushy owls. The magic of these little guys, they come with a real story of a foster adoptive family that sent us something that's going on in their lives. And they're hoping that people will adopt these owls and then continue to think about their family after they adopt the little owl. So you're adopting a family too also with that. And that helps us to get our different projects and things out so that we can help foster and adoptive families who I'm getting a lot of parents even last night that are just telling me that while parents are frazzled a little bit having to homeschool their kids and different things like that, our parents that are with foster kiddos, a lot of the kiddos have PTSD or different specialized behaviors, and they are now cut off from their therapists. They're now cut off from their support groups. And so helping us to fund our services helps us to reach out and lend a hand to foster and adoptive parents. So definitely grab an owl off our website or just follow our Facebook page. The website is transfiguringadoption.com. And I'm going to turn it over to Danny to close us over to the trivia.
Right. Thank you guys for joining again. Thank you,
Danny.
Thank you.
All our panelists. You guys have been amazing. Also remember, our raffle is still open for Transfiguring Adopt. We've had amazing organizations and creators donate things. So check out the Magic from HomeCon Instagram, and trivia will be starting soon. And then at 2:00 Eastern, the Wizarding Tailor is going to give us some sewing tips and show us how to make some face masks. So we will see you guys later. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Lots of
Bye.
love. Bye. 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 Bye.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're magical. Have I gone?
Oh,
Am I
nice.
still here? Still waiting.
There are a few here. I see some.